Let's go.
We're back with day three. As I mentioned, the biggest race of the year, one of the most watched races across the planet. So looking forward to getting stuck into the Grand National. But first of all, we're going to start with the graded action. Joe, I'm going to come to you first. Obviously, we've got the essentially the juvenile the novices chase, now sponsored by Hellgarten and Nuven Wines. That's why I got confused. They were supposedly the sponsor of the Boodles this
Yeah.
year, but that turned out not to be so. Salvatore Mundi, 11 to 8. Carlo Conti, 9 to 2. Mighty Bandit, 9 to 2. No questions asked, 6 is 10 to 1. The rest. Obviously, still waiting on declarations, but is there anything you like at a price currently for the first race on Saturday, mate?
No, sorry, mate. Point and shoot job from Salvatore Mundi. I think he loves it here at Aintree. I just think he'll turn up and get the job done. Carla Conti's a lovely mare. She'll be fresh for it. Not quite sure this is her bag though. So yeah, point and shoot job. I think Salvatore Mundi will just prove too good, and I won't say any more than that.
Jamie, anything to take on Salvatore Mundi with?
No, I think this is the 11 to 8 at the moment. I think he's going to come over lame, short and sweet. I think he's going to bankers meet. I'm going to have a massive bet on him at 11 to 8. He'll be shorter on a day. He's an absolute certainty.
Absolute certainty. I
Yeah.
remember echoing those words before Cheltenham came back to bite.
Yeah.
Um, Niall, are you in agreement, mate? Is he an absolute certainty, or will you to be taking him on?
Yeah, no, he'll win, but probably one of the disappointments now for the entire Aintree is that Kopek de Boards isn't coming over to run in this race.
Mm.
I just think with the time that they missed throughout the season,
Yeah.
it would have just been an absolute piece of cake for this fella to come over, just do whatever he wanted, and then go on to Punchestown, but and just give him that experience because I suppose she showed at Cheltenham that it wasn't a lack of experience that caught him out. And he's a superb horse. But yeah, no, Salvatore Mundi will win this. It's a fairly bad race though. Like Calaconti, once again another horse where I would have assumed good ground is exactly what she doesn't need. But look, I suppose I don't blame Connections for throwing the hat into the ring. It's a grade one by name. I don't think it's a grade one by quality. But no, look, Salvatore Mundi should win, and yeah, that's it. But that's my disappointment. Any is that we don't get to see Cope de Boers again.
Absolutely. Obviously, no questions asked, and be aware both ran against each other at Windsor. Trying to look at them from a price perspective. I am struggling, and I think I'll end up with my hands in my pocket for a lot of the week, which sounds a bit mad, really, doesn't it, for the second biggest festival, I suppose,
It,
in
it's
Britain.
it's a funny week this year though. I'm not too strong on as many as I would be in previous years. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm really looking forward to it, but is it a little bit underwhelming in general, really?
I, I think so,
Is
personally.
it? Yeah, without sound, I don't want to
It's
sound.
because I think Willie Munn is not sending over a DA squad like he did last year, last couple of years, and
Mm,
he's kind of given up a small bit, but that
yeah,
could all change if he is about the first five in the Grand National, isn't it?
yeah,
Really?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I suppose he's got a battle on his hands as well to a degree in Ireland, hasn't he? I suppose for
Yes. Yeah.
players
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get
Probably.
so,
Yeah.
um, yeah. No, interesting. Okay, no, we'll skip on in that case to the 155 where we've got the Turner's Mersey Novices Hurdle. I'm really looking forward to this race. There's a few horses in here that I've fallen in love with from early stages. Bossman Jack ran an absolute cracker, I think, given his official rating going into that race, finishing sixth in the Turners at Cheltenham. He's 3 to 1 favourite for the Skeltons, 5 to 1 Ballyfad, Scorpio Rising 8, Soldier Reeves 8, 10 to 1 Bar. Niall, is there anything that you like in here? I imagine this one is a more competitive betting proposition than the last one we just discussed.
Definitely, it's a quality race now. There's a lot of improving types, like the Scorpio Rising. Like he was extremely impressive in Sandown when winning the last day. Look, I've been a big Ballyfad fan kind of since the start of his career. Now it'll be interesting to see if he does run. I think they will though, because there's no real reason not to. The good ground, like Gordon Elliott's always kind of alluded that this isn't a slow horse either, and the ground is like it's not just your typical Jigginstown that needs soft ground and a fence. Like he's plenty of quality, and he has a this kind of never say die attitude really that just was gone away from him from some reason at Cheltenham. But look, I suppose look the form of Gordon Elliott's horses over the Cheltenham Festival was a concern afterwards, and it was definitely looked at very closely. Look, I suppose his earlier form put some bang there, and he'd be. I mean, if he didn't run at Cheltenham, what price would he be for this race right now? He'd probably be less than 2 to 1 if you're looking straight just on his performances beforehand. So 5 to 1 just to see if he's back is a good one. But Scorpio Rising definitely is a big worry now. I thought he was brilliant at Sandown. He tried to he tried to do everything but win over the last two. He looked like he wanted to take them with him, but and he's definitely an improving type. But no, for me, Ballyfad is more than fair at 5-1.
Fair enough. Jamie, Ballyfad, well, what do we make of that form coming out of the DRF? Because obviously King Rasco Gray has gone on to win quite impressively. And of course, the other pair, Talk to the Man and Ballyfad, left a lot to be desired off the back of Cheltenham. Just a blip? Do you think obviously they're much better than what they've shown? And is he your idea of the winner or something else?
Yeah, probably just a blip, Liam. Big runner field in the Turners. You're not used to it. Yeah, I think if he got a bit of a soft lead here, look, the only thing I would say, he beat Leader Delhi at Christmas on Gooders Ground at Leopardstown. Leader Delhi wasn't great at Fairyhouse the last day, so he kind of cribbed the form a little bit. But then there's King Rascal Gray finished third to him at the DRF. Talk didn't run much of a race in the Supreme, so you just don't really know. I think if he does come over and runs, I think he'll take a hell of a beating because I think just the support. I know what Niall's saying, it's a decent race on the who turns up, but I think they're just not that top quality. If you get me, Liam, that's just mean they're not really top. But they're just below standard for me. I don't think it's a great race. I think it's a poor enough renewal of it. So yeah, by default, I'd go being a small bit biased. I think Ballyfed because he's an Irish horse against the English horses. I think Ballyfed will win. If he comes. But all depends if he does get out in front. If he doesn't get out in front, he's like another no drama descent. He might sulk a bit, and then that'll be the end of that. But I think you'll know your fate very early in the race. But he's 5-1 to find out. So tentatively, very tentatively, I go Ballyfed as well. Yeah.
Before I move on to Joe, Jamie, I just want to ask you one more question around Soldier Reeves. We mentioned how fantastically he run, obviously 150 to 1 at Cheltenham. Is he there to perform to his best possible performance, or is this start of Project Pertemps for 2027?
There's two Project Pertemps, Liam, don't we have me said already for Skelton. He's a Project Coral Cup and he's a Project Pertemps. One is Soldier Reeves, he'll go either way. Money Garrow is the other one who goes either way. So you know your fate straight away at the start of the season. But if they go chasing, we'll be sick, won't we?
There you are. So back Soldier Reeves at your own peril. Joe, what do you like in here, mate, if anything?
Yeah, well, look, I've been a big Ballyfad fan all season. I put him up and King Rasco Gray for the Turners. I coupled them at about 10-1. So I was obviously a bit disappointed with Ballyfad at Cheltenham. Not sure what to put that down to really. And he has had a fairly long season, but like the lads are saying, I'd hope that his class probably just brings him to the front. He'd probably need to underperform, I think, for the likes of Soldiers Reeves and Monte Mares to actually sort of compete with him here on the better form that we've seen from him. It is interesting if you look a little bit further down. Lord Byron's actually in here. The plan as it is right now is to come here to the Mersey, and that makes 25-1 a ludicrous price based on what we've seen from him. He works with Winston Jr. They've done that since they were at Phase, and I see no reason why he should be that big in the market. I'm not buying the hype that Soldier Reeves is going to be a really well handicapped horse myself. I think he was ridden for speed the last day. So maybe it's not easy to take that form as true form. But there is a real interesting runner here called Rooster Crowin from Mikhail Suro. He's a really good operator over in France. He actually had July Flower before she went to Henry Bromhead. He knows how to train some really nice horses. The last day we actually saw this fella in a grade 2 over in Auteuil, and he was beaten less than 3 lengths by Leader Sport, who was initially touted to go to Willie Mullins before he sort of failed the vets. And if you take that form literally, he's not going to be a million miles away as well. So at a price, I'd like Rooster Crowin and I like Lord Byron at 25-1. Not sure if I'm in a forgiving mood or not yet for Ballyfad, but I'll see on the daily. But I just wanted to mention those two at a bigger price, really.
Fair enough. For me, Scorpio Rising, I loved everything that Niall said. He has been tipped over at Oddschecker. He is a horse who I think he's continually improving. He's won his last 4 races, as Niall alluded to. He absolutely bolted up at Sandown. He was tipped that day anti-post as well. So I managed to get a nice few quid in my own pocket from a personal perspective. That said, I also think this horse will be really interesting next season. over a fence, and I think potentially the Jack Richards could be a potential target for him. Obviously, a long way out. He needs to improve. However, look at Bossman Jack, who's at the head of this market. He improved £12 for just being thrown to Grade One company. More competitive fields, more required, more asked of you, and we don't know where the limit are with a lot of these novices. And I think we're only scratching the surface with Scorpio Rising. So let's hope that is the case. Definitely an each way play from my perspective. We then obviously got a handicap on the card before moving on to the Liverpool hurdle, the Grade One. Woodoo's in here. Whether her participation, well, whether she will participate, I'm not so sure. I'm not sure if one of you guys can allude or shed any light on that. 2-1, Honesty Policy 5s, ran a good race for a young horse in the strong leader. Obviously loves it around here. 6s, 8-1 Hidden Valley Lake, last year's winner. Jinko Blue 8s, 10-1 Bar. Joe, I'll stick with you, mate. Is
Yep.
there anything you like in here? Do you know about Woodoo? Is she definitely a go
Uh,
runner?
I've been a bit quiet on that sort of front this last week, to be honest, just with the Masters coming up, so I've got nothing there. But honesty policy, I'm absolutely going to give another chance to be honest, Liam. This was the meeting that really put him on, to my attention last season. Really, I highlighted him as a horse, obviously for the Stayers Hurdle at a whopping price. Didn't necessarily go to the plan on the day, but I'd be forgiven on the basis that he's still relatively inexperienced. And like I said last season, he went from winning like a maiden hurdle to a Grade One in about 3 months after leaving the point-to-point scene last year, and then went on to back it up by finishing half a length behind Jasmine DeVoe after he won the Albert Bartlett. That form is just huge. I know things haven't necessarily gone to plan this year. You could pick one or two excuses for those performances. I think it might become a case that he's actually a flat track horse. So even in the future, Cheltenham might not suit him how I thought it would the month just gone. So I'll give him another chance here at 5-1. I'll back him each way. Rather muggy, but I love that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Niall, if the mare turns up, will she be difficult to beat? Also, is there anything coming out of Handicap Company? I suppose Supremely West has an entry here. You've got Jinko Blue, a good bring of the Coral, hacked up really in the end, going from the front. That you can see potentially getting competitive. There's not an awful lot to find on official figures with some of these. Or is it just a simple Woodoo, another winner for Gordon Elliott? If she does line up.
Yeah, I suppose when Charismatic Kid won the bumper, afterwards the question was posed of would she run in this, and he was fairly strong on that she would. So I suppose if we wake up and see declarations tomorrow, I'm not going to be too surprised if her name is there. She's a very interesting runner, and it's actually quite an interesting route as well that they are deciding to take. I think I thought they would have just been happy enough with Cheltenham then and kind of put her away. But look, we've seen last season she ran so well in Aintree when she was just beaten by Lossiemouth. So no, she's definitely look. She is like what she is on the label, I suppose. She's tough. She does everything right. Never gives up. Jinko Blue, I'd be kind of just small bit questioning that Carl Cup. It kind of seemed like everything kind of went for him that day, and there was all the kind of chaos at the start and all. Supremely West, I mean, oh my God, like just with how impressive he was that day, like you would not be surprised one bit to see this horse go and win a Grade One straight after it. Like it wouldn't surprise you at all. And 14-1 is a very decent price as well. You've Hewitt there, 33s. He finally has his ground. Whether it's the Hewitt of all, I'm not too sure anymore. But no, definitely for me now. Look, it would be great to see kind of Woodoo jump up the grade again and at this trip. But Supremely West, honestly, you would not know where the ceiling is for this horse, and I was a 14-1 to find out isn't the worst thing in the world.
Fair enough. Jamie, any difference of opinion or anything you're particularly strong on?
Yeah, I'm at Niall as well. You wouldn't put it past Harry and Dan Skelton to pluck him into Grade One company, and he might have a chance in a squeak, and he's a good price to find out. Could run in the 3 mile handicap earlier in the day. That got he's 5-1 favourite for that. If he runs there, I think he still has more in hand. He went up £9 from the per tens fight, and I think he's more in hand. So they might have a crack at the Grade One. But I'm with Joe as well. If you're going for the class angle, look, would you? You have to respect her getting £7. I
I don't know
wasn't.
if she'll stay, Jamie, will she? Will she
I
stay?
think she will stay, but I wasn't in love, totally in love with the run in the mare's hurdle, to
Hmm.
be honest with you. I wasn't, because I think Jade Grugy finished jumped the first properly. it'd have given it definitely
Mm.
it would have been a lot closer.
And like
Uh,
she's
but
taken on effectively like graded 3 mile stayers
yeah,
over
I
hurdles here.
thought
It's
she'd go
different.
further away. I thought she'd win more impressively, to be honest with you, in the mares hurdle. And
Mm.
yeah, it's just a slight worry for me. Now she could prove a saint, and it's stupid price to find out. I'm with Joe all day in Class Angle. You have to look at the run of last year at Aintree when he beat Regent Stroll in that race, and he cruised through that race, and he was very inexperienced that day. Honesty policy. I think 3 miles around here is tailor made for him on better ground, and I think you might see the true honesty policy. Remember now, he's a 6-year-old running against older horses in the stairs hurdle. He could go chasing. He could stay stairs hurdler. If he stays at stays hurdling, McManus has mount of riches next year because you have the new line and him maybe next year in the
Mm.
stairs hurdle. So he'd want to be winning this anyway, in my opinion. So yeah, you fight one to find out. So be honesty policy for me.
Fair enough. A few horses have come from Cheltenham from the Stayers and then followed up here, Cider Burley being one. I think that race, the Stayers itself, is becoming a race where stamina, which associated with age, is coming to the fore a little
Charles
bit.
Burns' greatest horse ever did it.
Mm. Mm.
Sad
Um,
bit.
Oh,
yeah,
geez,
so
yeah, I forgot you trained Solwit. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
there's another. Yeah, so potentially it's not out of the realms of possibility. Should he line up that is that Home by Elite follows up and franks that form. Again, a race I don't have a massively strong opinion on. Joe, I did get your take, didn't I?
Yes, mate. Honesty policy again. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to the big one in that case. 55 minutes later, we will be settling down to watch the Grand National. I am Maximus, 7-1, Willie Mullins trained, followed by Grange KLS, 10-1, Willie Mullins trained. Panic Attack, 12s, and then we've got the three JP horses, Iroko, Jaguar, Johnny Who, and then 16-1 Bar. Joe, start with you, mate. What do you like in this? Has your opinion changed over the course of the weather in the last week or so? It's been pretty sunny in the UK, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we could even just open up this to the floor and sort of have a bit of a rant about all of them, really, because it's difficult to narrow down. And I'd actually like to hear maybe some other opinions on the back of what I like, because Lecky Watson has obviously been out of form effectively this season since winning his Brown Advisory, but he wasn't necessarily campaigned towards a Gold Cup, was he, at the same time? So I just wonder if this has actually been the plan. Um,
I'll tell you what then, Joe. One thing to say on Lecky Watson, once the weights have already been established and then he lines up at a track at Fairyhouse, I, I I want to see more. I was a really big fan of him after the Brown
yeah,
Advisory last. There's no reason not to go and win or put your best foot forward. And when
fair
he's finished
enough. Yeah.
9, it's like I'm just not sure if
No, look, that's more than fair. And look, I was much more confident when I put him up at. I mean, I put him up at about 50s, I think, months ago. Like, so, I'm in a no better position now. But I just like how he won the Brown Advisory. Like, I'm not. I've got a woeful record. There you go in the Grand National. I'll get that out there first. But I just think there's a big run in him still. Um, in a race where there's a much more of a class angle required. Like I'd consider something like him. I'd also like Bambridge. I think he's going to stay. Easy to question, no doubt. But like the ground's going to be fine for him. He jumps solid. It's that Mr. JJ Slevin again. I could see him having a big week. So any love for Bambridge across us? Niall?
I probably wouldn't, not for Banbridge anyways. Lecky Watson though I like,
Mm,
and I know Liam wasn't exactly thrilled with the Fairyhouse run. I kind of watched it back a few times, and he was actually like going fine for a horse that was so wide throughout. He actually was fine, kind of three outish, and then it just kind of all went to pot then. But he is a horse that I just don't want to give up on at all, and. I suppose you kind of want that unassuming talent kind of coming into the race where he's never flashy with what he does. But yeah, I suppose what you would say though is you'd want to see a bit more maybe spark this season that we
mm,
haven't seen. But yeah, like 40-1 is a huge price. I just think this is actually just turning into like a Willie Mullins race, and he just is able to campaign these horses so well.
mm,
Champ Kylie is another horse at 40-1 where I think can run a huge race.
mm.
Like 11 stone one with Danny Mullins on board. Like we've kind of seen it meeting in the waters the last few years where it's been Danny on him.
Yeah.
He's kind of just snuck into that race And I can see the exact same thing happening this time. And the way Champ Kiley, he jumps fences like a 2 miler. Like he's just kind of really sharp over them. He
Mm.
doesn't get much air time at all. And with the way that the national is now, like it's not the national of old, and you don't need to have this big soaring leap and everything like that. Like as long as you're quick and accurate, you can get over them. He's 2 mile pace. I don't think staying is going to be an issue. Like he won in Punchestown last year in the 3 mile novice chase. So 40 to 1 now. I just saw like I suppose we all kind of seen the jockey bookings today, which I suppose
Yes.
took a lot of people by surprise. And I'd say Tom Bellamy was the most surprised man in the entire world seeing them. But I think for all of Danny Mullen's reaction on the Matt Chapman and Paddy Brennan show,
Yeah.
I think he was absolutely delighted to get that right.
I'm in complete agreement. I was racing around trying to find some of the 80s that was about for him. A good ground as well, potentially with the weather that we have had in the UK. The good ground performance is probably one of his best performances over fences last season. That Grade One in the Champion Novice Chase, as you alluded to. It may not mean an awful lot now, given the fact that they've gone chasing, but you also forget he was third and half a length behind Gaelic Warrior in a Turner's Novice Hurdle. I'm not sure if that horse ever went on to do an awful lot, but it's decent form, isn't it? It can be a little bit in and out. His reappearance this season was quite promising. He got beaten by a short distance, didn't he? By only by Knight, who's a mare I've always liked. I completely agree. I'll throw my two pennies in, and then obviously can pass over to back to yourself, Joe, and then to Jabe. The other one that I do like is Gorgeous Tom for Hemmings Bromhead. Obviously, he won this for JP a couple of years ago when Rachel Blackmore could literally do no wrong, and obviously they managed to land it that year. If you go back and watch the Hennessy, obviously won by Panic Attack, who's a much shorter price. He's still on the half turn at the start, and he's literally not even prepared to go away and go with them. He then gets caught off guard, and he still makes up so much ground going through that race and stays on really well. I think that stamina will be no issue to him. He definitely will jump well if he takes to the course and whatnot. I think he's a massive player, so I think you can still get around about 25 to 33 to one about him. He'll love the better ground conditions. So at this moment in time, they're my two, and I don't mind the shout on Banbridge at all either, Joe. And Maywell, he was
Mm.
definitely a high on my shortlist.
But he's a class horse, like like the class animals are going to stick around in this sort of race now. I just think, like you said, it will all just be a case of what you can find at the home straight, as we know. But like, I keep going back to Lecky Watson. I just want to mention one thing about him as well, because last year we had a bit of an interesting. We had a walk in the park with the national with Nick Rocket, and then obviously I know the way you're thinking, so I like that sort of correlating form of the size of these staying races. Lecky Watson's by a horse called Valoran as well, who produced Val Dancer, who's won a Welsh national, also like Panda Boy, a few other real strong stayers too. So again, just to add to like the intrigue of his campaign, he is bred for this. He isn't bred for a Gold Cup, so. I am going to stick with Lecky Watson, but the other one I've got, Liam, that I put up anti-post is Oscar's brother. I think he's again been campaigned against good horses with a big target in mind. I think he's coming there with a big chance too. I might like a little bit of cut in the ground for him, ideally, but he is another. He's just got the absolute profile for one of these marathon staying chases. He's not a 3 mile, 3 mile two Grade One chaser. This is a proper galloper that'll just stay and stay. So I'm going to hold my guns with Lecky and Oscar's brother at the moment. I think.
Throw one out there, sorry. Like you said, a bit of a free fall, Joe. Firefox. Did anybody else think it was an eye-catching staying on fourth at the DRF, or did they just think it was a very patiently ridden
I can't
pace?
remember.
It was
Can't remember how
100.
we. I can't even remember how we finished. I can't remember enough to to comment on him, to be honest.
Looked like finishing with loads left in the tank, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure just because he
Mm.
couldn't
Have you
rid
backed
them.
it? Have you backed him?
No, I've just seen he is hundreds with one firm hills, and so
Mm.
loose change.
Mm. Mm. I mean, I don't know is the answer. I said I'd have to go and watch his runs again, to be honest, but I don't know. I don't know. He's not really a horse I've ever taken to be
Any
fair.
opinion, Niall, Jay?
Yeah, no, maybe I think in the DRF that day was just more of a thing of like a lot of horses kind of didn't really run their race, and then we obviously saw I know the way you're thinking fall. He was kind of at the back. Grange Care West was poor, and then there was another one slips my mind now, but he was kind of falling backwards slightly. I suppose 100 to 1 though it's a lottery, but I suppose my fear of the national is that I don't kind of, although I want Champ Kylie to win, I don't envision that we'll get the big price winners like anymore, just with the way that the race is going. Like, I know Nick Rocket was 33s, but he was actually 16s the entire day. And then
Yeah.
for some
Mm.
random reason, just completely went out to 33 to 1. And I remember kind of when everyone looked at the SP, they were kind of thinking, what is going on here?
Mm.
So, like, no, look for like I know I threw the clip for Champ Kylie, but I actually, and it's so boring, and I hate to do it, and I hate anyone that does it, but I actually think I Am Maximus is probably in the form of his life, and his run and the Savills was unbelievable. Like he actually he didn't win the race, but he won the race and did even more because it was a car crash of what happened. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
wheeled around and he just did I Am Maximus type stuff and clouted a couple, but the difference was in last year's race, he difference where when he finally got to Nick Rocket, there wasn't anything in the petrol
Mm.
tank
Mm.
and it was all gone. And I just think if he can nip around that bit sweeter, like like he's been there, done that. Like he just has serious attitude things at times, and you don't know when he wants to run and when he doesn't want to. But I never want to be the guy that tips the favorite in the national, and I think he's definitely going to go off favorite. But for me, he's in the kind of the form of his life, and that Leopardstown run at Christmas, I was like, oh my God, this fella is going to win.
I think Niall's cut out for me. Is he cut out for you boys?
Yeah,
He
it's
has
just not
indeed,
cut
yeah.
out.
We
I
got the.
think he likes I Am Maximus though.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
You're back now. We got you. We got you.
Yeah.
You're back. You're back. You'd say he's more likely to run his race again than Nick Rocket. I suppose that'd be quite unanimous, wouldn't it, too?
Yeah, 100%. And the jockey book and Nick Rocket would make you think that they weren't as best pleased as people would have thought in Down Royal the
Yeah,
other
like
day.
Tom Bellamy. It's like it just doesn't make
His
sense.
mother has done more than just getting him a girlfriend,
Yeah, yeah,
anyways.
yeah, yeah. Exactly that. Exactly that. Just to be a bit of a pedigree nerd again. I'm sorry to say it, but like again, I Am Maximus. Like he's an authorized with Tiger Roll. They just stay and stay and stay. Like they produce two Grand National winners. Like so, he's just going to run and run and run, isn't he? I Am Maximus. Like so, I'd say there's no shame in backing him, especially like you want winners at the end of the day, regardless of price, don't you? So
Jamie, what's going to win it? We haven't heard from you. Come on.
Oh, I'm gonna mention seven horses, Liam, but I'm gonna couple them in three parts.
oh Jesus.
It's just the easiest way to do it now, and I'll do it quickly. Um, Look, my number one would have to be Johnny Who. He's off the same mark at the Ultima. He was fifth to Colonel Harry in the Grand Sefton. He's had a go around the track. I was very pleased with that. Third, Ascot, then after fifth to Imperial Saint and the Peter Marshall Haydock, then wins the Ultima. He's definitely one. So that pair that with the other JP McManus I will mention. I can't let go of Percival Galabot 40 to 1. You have to remember last year was 10 to 1 to win this race. He's been campaigned very well. He was finished behind Hartwood and the New Year's Day chase. And Chem Kylie was in that race when he went that favourite in New Year's Day at Tremor. So he definitely won. He fell at the 10th last year. So look, they're going to have another go. He's been lightly campaigned since to keep the mark as around the same as last year. So he's definitely won. You can't quickly. You have to respect the two who were first and second in the cross country at Cheltenham. Final Orders has his ground. He'll give someone a great. He'll give the jockey a great spin. Uh, Fabry Deschamps lost his race probably before the cross country, pulled all the way with Jack Kennedy. His head was up in the air, fighting Jack Kennedy all the way, and he finished only 2.25 lengths behind Final Orders. So you have to respect him as well. Then we get into the last part. The three Willie Mullins. I've been on Captain Cody all year since he won the Scottish Grand Nationals from last year. Remember, this horse finished 9 lengths behind Romeo Coolio.
Mm.
It's the race at Christmas and the Paddy Power you have to look at towards the Grand National, Liam. Fabry Deschamps who won it. Second was Search for Glory. If he didn't fall at the last, he'd have given Johnny Two something to think about in the Ultima. Now, as the hours one at Tayestas and Captain Cody was in the race too. So that's a bit of form there. The other one is Key to Bourbon. If you like Gorgeous Tom was in the same race as O'Toole the last day in the Leopardstown last meeting of the jumps. O'Toole won the race for the Miniers. Gorgeous Tom was in that race, and Keita Burbon was in that race. Well, Keita Burbon was third last year in the Irish National to Haiti Calour. And always think there's a big handicap in that horse. So he's definitely one to think. And the last one I mentioned at a whopping price at 80 to 1 of Willie Mullins. He's a small horse, but he loves better ground. He was third last year in the Bet365 Gold Cup, which always called the Bitbread. Behind Resplendent Grey. High class hero James Bowen, I think, is booked. He's 80 to 1. I think he loved the ground. And marathon trips is what he wants. And 80 to 1 to find out is definitely worth a little small euro each way if you're that way inclined. So there, I've run down what I like.
Jamie's runner by runner guide for the Grand National.
Those seven, if one of those seven don't win, I don't. Nah.
If one of those seven don't win.
Yeah. But I couldn't have. I put
Yeah.
this with you. I am no offense to anyone. I think you're. Look, they probably might be placed, but I am Maximus and Grange Clearest. Oh God, no, leave them alone. That's just me.
Right, you get one, Joe, winner of the Grand National.
Oh, let's go Lecky Watson.
Niall. He's cut out again, but I can guarantee you it's I am Maximus.
I am Maximus.
I think it's fairly obvious. I am.
Top man. Jamie, give us one of your seven that you fancy most.
Oh, Johnny Who.
Johnny Who, perfect. And it would be Gorgeous Tom for me. Great stuff. We'll move on swiftly, just in case anybody has got any interest on the back end of the card, which is, of course, the bumper. It is a grade race, so another one we were going to cover off. I haven't even looked at it. Joe, have you?
I haven't, mate. Dreadfully unprepared this week. Sorry.
No, not a problem. It's not a race that would particularly overly interest myself. Jamie, anything in the final race, just in case one of your seven doesn't win the national?
Oh, it doesn't matter. This is the banker of the last of the day of the last very race.
Here
And
we
if he
go.
comes over, it's definitely the Gardnelli horse and low kick if he runs here. This horse is running a course and distant bumper earlier towards the back end of the season last year on good ground. And then he was subsequently bought by the Gigginstown and went to Gardnelli. Second to Irish Avatar Navin, and everyone said he bolted around the thing and then he didn't run his race. Then he bolted up in Ace the last day and beating an Emmett Mullins horse. He's 4 to 1 here. If he turns up here, especially he's run around the course, and this is only beaten a length and a bit when he was trained by, I can't remember who he was trained by before. If he runs here, he's an absolute good thing. Low kick. He's a good horse.
Perfect. Niall, is there anything else you like in the finale even of the Aintree Festival?
The 230, I like Cruise Control. I think he's going to do it again. He's a pound higher from last year's success. I just think his season revolves around this race, and for some reason, whatever it is about that bit of sun on his back, or Aintree or Liverpool, whatever it is, it seems to work for him, and it'll work fine for me. I agree with Jamie. I was nothing but impressed with low kick and Nace. I thought it was absolutely unbelievable what he did that day, and it was interesting enough that when he was beaten in Navan, he had an absolute freak attack before he went out into the parade ring. They couldn't saddle him. They couldn't do anything with him. So I would completely scratch that run from memory. And no, Cruise Control for me in the half two. Sorry about my Wi-Fi. It went
No, that's
bonkers
right,
there
that's
for a
right.
couple of
Thank you,
minutes.
mate. Grateful of your time. Not a problem at all. Joe, anything else to look across the card, mate, on Saturday?
No, just honesty policy, mate. Again, it's a smaller Aintree for me this year in my personal punting and tipping, but again, he's one I'll have a decent punt on each way sooner rather than later too.
Fair enough. One I'm waiting on declarations because I'm not sure who's going to get into the race is Hartington for the Tizzards. Brendan Powell's already jocked up. It's his only entry over the course of the next few weeks. I really liked his last run when he got proper good to soft ground. That was at Haydock that day. In 7th was Jinko Blue, Coral Cup winner. In 8th was Joya Machan. Should have won at Doncaster when coming down when he went chasing. Then subsequently did win 2 starts later. In 10th was Titan Discovery, who then subsequently his next start he won. In 12th was Machan 2, who obviously won on trials day in Grady Company. In 13th was Navajo Indy, who's got 4 lines through Bowen's on Fire, who's twice a winner, and Jazzy Matty, who arguably should have won the Grand Annual. I think he's still really well handicapped, providing it's on a going day, good soft ground. He needs a good number of horses to come out of the race. So Hartington in the 120 is one that I really like. But as I say, I'm just waiting for tomorrow for declarations. I think that pretty much summarises everything, really, lads. We've given best bets of each day. I don't think there's any real need to go through best bets overall across the 3 days. Hopefully, we provided a few winners in there. First and foremost, Niall, thank you ever so much for your time, mate. If people want to find you, follow you, and various other things, where can they do that?
Just Twitter really and TikTok. It seems to be the Twitter's doing well at the minute, and the TikTok's doing well as well. So it's Niall Tierney 25 on Twitter and the same on TikTok. So no, look, thanks very much for having me on. Grateful to be joined by such great minds, and hopefully, yeah, we have a couple of winners. And if it's on the line, can do it tomorrow. It won't be seen until next week.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Thanks a lot, Niall. I just want to say as well, thanks, been great. I'll actually put Niall's link to Twitter below the video. Proper content on Niall's channel too, so definitely worth a look.
Thanks.
Thank you. Joe, anything else you want to summarise? Anything else?
No, all good.
Chest?
No, everyone just enjoy. It's nice to be back on with you boys again. I've been really unprepared with the Masters, obviously, but look, we've got Punchtown and Fairy House still to come. Gamble responsibly, enjoy it. And look, it'd be good to have Niall on again sometime as well when we're a bit more prepared. If you'd be up for it too, Niall.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me on again.
Magic. And thank you all, obviously, for tuning in. Hopefully, you've watched all 3 days. Hope there's loads of winners in there, as Joe mentioned. Gamble responsibly, but I hope you all have a good few winners and enjoy Aintree. And we'll be back again very soon.